Hey friends, let's catch up on some reality TV. It's time for another reality report. Okay, before I jump into everything, we're going to talk about Survivor. We're going to talk about House of Villains. I'm also going to talk a little bit about Laguna Beach, maybe. And BB14, the rewatch. But before I do that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, because pretty soon I have a really fun giveaway coming up and you're going to want all the details. If you're a reality TV fan, I'm assuming since you're watching this video you're going to want the details. So hit the subscribe button. Let's kick things off first with Survivor. Honestly, season 50 is just becoming such a freaking letdown, and they're really screwing this whole thing up. It's something with CBS and their all-star kind of seasons, aside from the very first Big Brother season and a couple of the Survivor seasons. But like this newer generation of CBS all-star seasons are just always complete and total trash. And we're seeing that again here with season 50. There are obviously elements that I'm enjoying. I'm really loving the Cirie, Rizzo, Ozzy, the Cirie, Wizard of Oz situation. But there's a lot that's just really dragging this season down. The whole Honesty Integrity Alliance. I am beyond sick of them. Here's the deal. We have people all the time that come onto these competition shows and preach how they're going to play with honesty and integrity and all this BS. And there are some people that actually do stick true to that. They don't typically end up winning. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that's actually been able to do that. But this group of people are so hypocritical because they're not playing with honesty and integrity. They started a pregame alliance, which goes against the rules, and they're holding true to that. They're just, I literally cannot stand these people. When Coach, anytime he spoke in this most recent episode, I just was filled with so much rage. I need him off of my screen so quickly because I just can't take any more of it. He is such a hypocrite. I'm so glad that they included bits of people talking about how hypocritical he is, because people know this is what he does every time, is acts like he's going to play this loyal and honest and all this kind of stuff game, and he never does. He's such a liar. So I'm glad it showed people like calling him out for that. We're here in April. The season ends towards the end of May. I know I've seen some things leak for next season, or like previews of next week's episode. It looks like there's a high potential that 2 people are leaving next week. I won't reveal how that's going to happen in case you don't know, but I do. And it's not like confirmed, but it's heavily speculated that 2 people are leaving next week because of this twist that they teased in the coming up on at the end of the episode. And I just feel like we could have spaced all of this out a little bit. I think the Blood Moon twist could have gone over better earlier. I know that's like when they were still in tribes and whatnot, but if you just said that like every single tribe had to go, there was no immunity except for individual, like each group individually had to compete for immunity for one person, and we had larger tribes going to tribal, I think that would have been a way more interesting twist instead of this like 3 groups of 5 situation that we ended up with. It was such a flop. It was not entertaining to watch at all. It was more entertaining watching the vote scramble, even though the writing was on the wall for D this week. And I fear that we're going to run into a similar situation with this twist coming up this next following week, where like it's really not going to make the vote scramble all that interesting. It's really going to eliminate that, time that they spend between immunity challenge and going to tribal. And it's really frustrating that both of these twists are coming immediately after the merge, because what I'm fearful of is that these 2 twists combined are really going to solidify a strong group of people working together, and they're going to like steamroll kind of the rest of the season. That's what I'm extremely fearful of. I feel like that's where we're headed. And I feel like because we only had a tribal in between these 2 twists, I feel like had they spaced them out, then we could have had these really interesting twists. Just would have been more interesting, more dynamic, more game altering than what we're getting, which is just flop twist and then a break and then another flop twist. That's what I think is going to happen. I was really enjoying the earlier parts of this season, but this boot order is absolutely terrible. I'm so fearful for those that I'm enjoying and how much longer they have left, because some of the people that I'm really enjoying have just been going out back to back to back. So I hope that I am incorrect in literally everything that I'm saying right now. And I hope we see a lot more of Sari, a lot more of Ozzy, a lot more of Tiff, and a lot more with Emily and Christian. I just think that those people are really creating what little entertainment we do have this season. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of just my quick thoughts on Survivor 50 overall as a whole. Let's move on to House of Villains. House of Villains, I can't believe we're already here at the end of the House of Villains season. Next week is the finale. We have a lot left. We've got 5 people left. I actually really like this final 5. I really enjoyed this whole cast of characters, if I'm being fully honest. I thought it's really interesting how this season has played out. In the beginning, we were really seeing like the gamer heavy kind of people plus Tom kind of run things. And then these last couple of weeks, it's been the complete opposite. I mean, obviously, in a perfect world, we would have had more back and forth week to week between those two sides, but it is interesting to see the power shift. I was really bummed that I need to go back and look. Do we always have 5 going into the finale? I feel like that's a lot of people. And I was actually really surprised that we were already down to where there is no redemption challenge. That was really a bummer for me for Tyson, because I've said in previous videos that like I want to see Tyson have to face some adversity, but I wasn't quite ready for him to actually leave. I really would have liked to have seen him and Paul be like in the final 2 somehow, and people have to choose between the 2 of them, just to see how that would have played out. But that's not how it went. That's not how it worked. And I really think that there's a good chance that Kate could win, Drita could win. I don't know. I highly doubt that. I don't see how Paul can win this. And at this point, I'm almost just kind of hoping that he gets taken to the final 2 or makes it to the final 2 and loses by 1 vote. Even though I enjoy Paul on Big Brother and on social media and different things like that, I enjoy him as a person. I do genuinely think it would just be so funny for him to lose a 3rd time by 1 vote. So I'm actually kind of rooting for that scenario. It's been a pretty fun season overall for House of Villains. I will say this is definitely more of like a gamer heavy season. There's been a lot of strategy talk. There's been alliances. There's, been all of these different elements, but there really hasn't been a ton of fighting. They've definitely all gotten on each other's nerves at certain points. They've definitely exchanged words, but this hasn't been as explosive of a like angry or villainous kind of dynamic house as what we've seen in previous seasons. So that's really interesting. And I've really enjoyed the season. Like I said, I think it was a great cast. I am very interested to see if New York comes back for another season next year. And I don't know, I'll have to share some additional thoughts on House of Villains after it all wraps up. I am just a little bit behind on Tyson's podcast that he does. And I know that this week Paul was the guest on it. So I'm actually really interested to see what they talk about and what they discuss. So I'll definitely have more thoughts on House of Villains for next week's episode here. But right now, I think those are all of my House of Villains thoughts for right now. Let me know in the comments who you're hoping wins House of Villains this week. Let's get into the BB14 rewatch. Now, here's where I'm at. Currently, we just completed the 2nd eviction. So JoJo just went home. Fun fact, at the time, this is how you know I've been around the BB streets for a hot minute. I am blocked on X that I don't use anymore. I'm a Blue Sky user, but at the time it was Twitter. So I blocked on Twitter by JoJo, the person that was just voted out in this rewatch. She did not like the things that I was saying about her gameplay. And I've always been someone where I critique gameplay, not you as a person, but she took a lot of offense to me saying that I didn't think that she was a good game player, and like just different conversations I was having with people online. She and her friends like went full out attack mode on me on Twitter and then blocked me. So anyways, fun little backstory there. But yeah, I'm really enjoying BB14. It is one of my all-time favorite seasons, and I'm so glad that Brittany is doing this rewatch. Really enjoying learning some of the behind the scenes things from her. This week she was talking about how in that very first vote, they were actually really close to being able to pull off a tie there when it was between Frank and Kara. And just honestly, all the times where she's talking about things that they were like so close to being able to pull off, and thinking of how that would have changed the whole dynamic of this season. I mean, had they pulled that off, Willie definitely would have voted out Frank. And definitely, we probably would not have gotten Dan's funeral. Imagine a world where we do not have Dan's funeral. Absolutely insane to think about. And yeah, it's going really well. I'm loving it. And I just love Big Brother so freaking much. I cannot wait until this season. And I actually think, I don't know if I'm going to put this theory out into like a full other Big Brother preseason video, some of those that I've been coming out with. I actually think we're kind of due for like a teams, coaches kind of season. If you think about it, the very first season we had like that was season 11, and we had a returning player on that season. And then 3 years later, we had 14, and they had the coaches twist, and they were all split up into the teams and stuff. On BB11, just in case you haven't watched or aren't familiar, there weren't coaches, but they were all split up into teams for the first part of the game. And they were like high school cliques. So it was like the nerds, the jocks, the populars, and the offbeats. After season 14, 4 years later for season 18, we had teams again, and we also had returning players. The returning players weren't coaches, but they did get to kind of like kick off the schoolyard pick for how teams were formed. And then we had a really long break between 18 all the way to 23 where there were no returning players, but they did play as a team. So I don't know, season 27 or season 28, I feel like we're due for like a team season. And the other thing is, like last year, Brittany was watching BB12 at this time. BB12, we had the Saboteur. Last year, we had the Mastermind, and we had Rachel coming back. I don't know. I think there is some kind of weird universal pull to Brittany rewatching a season and us getting elements of said season again. But we're also just like in the timeline of Big Brother kind of due for a teams related kind of twist with it being season 28. So that has me really excited because honestly, I kind of like the team situation, especially because it's something that they just start out with. It's not something that carries on the whole entire game. And I feel like it just adds a really interesting element because a lot of times they all act like they're going to stick together as teams, but like that rarely ever freaking happens. I just love a team season, so I'm kind of hopeful that that is an element of this upcoming season of Big Brother. But I'm really enjoying the season 14 rewatch. It's so much fun, and I have an idea. I will include a clip here of how you can join me on a more interactive basis on the BB14 rewatch if you are also doing a rewatch. Or if you want to jump in now or in a couple of weeks, you can do it, and it will be spoiler free, but still a very interactive way for you to rewatch the season. So here's that clip. Okay, if you go to my TikTok page and click on my link tree, you can click the Connect with Me on Fable link, and it will take you to that app. Now, over on Fable, if you click on clubs, you can find my new Big Brother Buddies Club, and here is where we are currently rewatching BB14. I love this setup because you can choose which milestone you are currently on and share your thoughts, read others' thoughts once you get to that milestone. It's totally spoiler free, which I love because if you're someone that wants to binge it all in one go, you can add all of your thoughts to all the applicable episodes. and then others can kind of chime in and chat with you as they get there. Or if you just want to watch in chunks, you can do that without being spoiled if it's your first watch. So yeah, I hope to carry this on throughout the summer once we get to BB28 as well, so we have a fun little place to chat. But yeah, if you want to rewatch BB14 with me, I'm going to be adding comments starting today, and let's just have a fun time over on Fable in our little Big Brother Buddies Club. Okay, last but not least for this week's reality report, we had the 20-year reunion of Laguna Beach. Listen, I'm from Kansas. I've never even seen the ocean. Honestly, I'm a little bit afraid to go to the beach. If you know me, you know snakes and the beach are like two of my biggest fears. So it probably just won't happen. But I was definitely like living vicariously through Laguna Beach folks. This came out right when I was entering high school. It was like my 8th grade year that season 1 came out, maybe 7th grade, because I think it was in 2004. So that would have been like my 7th grade year. So like, but going into high school and like thinking that my high school experience was going to be anything like this in a small town in the state of Kansas, girl, please knock it off. But genuinely, this was like the first kind of reality show where it was people that were really, really close to my age. And it was just everything. It was everything. It was so perfect. I loved it so much. And I've followed Laguna Beach people all throughout. I'm a big One Tree Hill girl, so I loved seeing Steven in One Tree Hill. I followed Elsie in her career, Kristen in her career, and, you know, all of that. But this was really cool to see some of the people that have kind of, they are on social media, but they're not like influencers. They just kind of like post like normal people on Instagram do. And so it was really fun to kind of see them stepping into this light again and everyone just chatting about it. You know, if you haven't watched the 20-year reunion thing, I will say that there was tidbits of information that I didn't know as someone that has followed most of these people. And I also did listen to Steven and Kristen's podcast when they did like a rewatch and they had different people on and interviewed them. But for me, like, it was just still really fun to hear the parts that weren't included in that, because there definitely were some parts, and also just seeing them together, and they visited different like iconic places that we knew from the show, like Surf and Sport and different things like that, and just seeing the dynamic of this group and it just feeling like, you know, genuine high school friends coming back together again. One thing that always drives me crazy when people talk about Laguna Beach and the hills, and something that I don't think a lot of people quite understand, is like Laguna Beach was real. The hills was not. The hills was very heavily set up like scenes. You know, they had certain places and times that they had to go and do things. They were oftentimes like fed lines of things to say to certain people to like set a situation up and different things like that. It was as close as a reality TV show can get to a scripted television show is The Hills, genuinely. Laguna Beach was not like that. Laguna Beach was genuinely following this group of high schoolers around. However, they did a lot of manipulation with the editing of this show. And Kristen and Steven really talk about that a lot in their podcast. So they could use clips and different things like that that were like from 3 months ago, and then put that sound over something to make it sound like they were saying it in that moment, but it wasn't what they were saying. So Laguna Beach genuinely was high school kids being followed by MTV. They just really manipulated the storylines and things like that when it came to the editing and telling a different story. And I say all that to say, like, these people were genuinely friends. The beef between Kristen and Elsie was real. Like, and they talk about that and talk about how they like overcame that and why it was and all of these different things. But the reunion felt so cool and so special knowing that like these were genuine friends, that some of them have stayed in contact, some of them have lost touch, but they all came together for this reunion. And it was like just being able to like take a look at a high school reunion almost of these people that we watched kind of grow up in that time and space. So I don't know. I personally really enjoyed it, but let me know what you guys thought if you watched it or if you're planning on watching it. I know that Laguna Beach is a little bit different than the reality shows I typically talk about, but I'm just a reality TV girly at heart, so it's definitely one of the shows that I like. I also lately have been watching for the very first time Summer House. I just finished season 5, so I'm actually getting ready to watch season 1 of Winter House. And yeah, if you are a watcher of those two shows and you want to know some of my thoughts, because I have a lot, let me know and I can start including that rewatch as well here in these reality reports. But I think that about wraps it up for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know all your thoughts on all the shows down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.